Dig deep, Casey. Be a pansy.
Seriously.
Something like that.
It's true, though.
But how was your night's rest?
Amazing.
They're going to say, did you see Julie McQueen? She was hammered. When she gets drunk, she looks like a dude.
Like, it looks like it's
Come on,
unlocked.
Aron. You can figure it out.
I'll come across Brent and smack the shit out of you after I stretch.
We are very blessed today to have our special guest, Miss Julie McQueen. Say hi, Julie.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
That's probably better.
Yeah, it's better.
Did you say it was Viagra gave you a heart attack?
It gave me a first heart attack when I was 21.
All right.
Whatever. Anyway.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
I am very system, and it was the Cialis that got me at 28.
Yeah.
Nobody says Louisville, man.
That's right. Thank you, Sean. You know, and I'm looking right here. I see a bunch of positive people.
It looks like the Mountain Ops booth is the place to be.
Yeah, seriously.
You know?
One of us is gonna die. And he loops like a. It's like a shiitake mushroom. Things like
This old highway's getting longer. I was self-taught, yeah.
Hey, you're one of those people that piss me off.
I think Bowman cast.
I know. Seriously.
Bowman podcast.
It's like when there's carbon in the air, there's hope.
You're like really close to my comfort zone here, though. I'll take that as a compliment.
Often.
Hey, everybody. Daniel Lee Martin here with Julie McQueen and the Gritty Bowmen and his baby brother.
This is Cameron Haynes, and you're watching the Gritty Bowmen.
I'm Brandon Bates. He's Easton Corbett. You're listening to the Gritty Bowmen Show.
What he said.
This is Wishes for Warriors, and you're watching the Gritty Bowmen Show.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm Eva Shockey, and you are listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
Hey guys, this is Matt Davis from Hoyt Archery, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen. Good dude.
Too much combat, man. It's bad. But
Yeah.
what's funny with
Serious warrior stuff.
those
Yeah.
guys is what's his last name?
Oh,
It's like Russian last name or something.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Stovanovsky.
I don't know, but he
Throw
told-
one out there.
They grabbed 20. You guys have built me multiple 80 to 90 pound bows.
Right.
It doesn't matter. I grabbed
Yeah.
one. I'm like, I'll try 60. I'm like, I think I'll put 60-pound bow back on the wall.
It becomes natural. It's like throwing a baseball. Seriously. I don't ever take my eyes off something, and there's nothing more gratifying than putting, that arrow on that exact spot at 20 or 30 yards, because that's all you. That's not the bow. It's all you. So there's a lot of, satisfaction that you get out of doing that.
On this episode of Gritty Bowmen, Aron Snyder and I visit with friend Matt Davis of Hoyt Archery. Matt is very handy with a traditional bow, and Aron and Matt talk about A-Aron's initial foray into the traditional bow hunting world. He's a wealth of knowledge, and he's a solid dude.
If you like the show, please go to our website at grittybowmen.com and subscribe to this podcast and tell your mates and pals about us. Do us a favor and please take a moment to leave us a rating or a review on iTunes or on our YouTube channel. Send your questions and podcast ideas to grittybowmen@gmail.com. If you're listening to this on iTunes, you can see the video version of this podcast on our website at www.grittybowmen.com.
All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Bowmen podcast. I'm here with Aron Snyder and Matt Davis.
What up,
Aron, Kafaru, Matt with Hoyt.
Yep.
We're gonna talk a little bit about traditional bows because, and for those who don't know,
I've decided to
How-
try and kill something with a traditional bow.
Aron has, and I've been told that Matt is experienced in this area and that he imparted some knowledge to Aron.
Yeah.
And for people who don't know Matt, he's the cover model for Hoyt
Cover model.
catalog.
It's my official job title.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't do anything else.
He's got good hair. Look at that hair, fellas.
That's right. Like, I don't have hair, so Aaron's growing his out, which
I
he looks
am.
a little funny to me.
like a
you're
chia
in
pet.
You're in the in-between stage. You're in the funny spot.
Well, see, I'm gone 6 months a year, and when my wife mentioned she wanted me to grow my hair out, and she doesn't complain when I'm gone that much, I'm like, that's a good idea, dear. Let's grow my hair out. So now I have some hair.
There you go.
Yep.
Got to keep the white paffy.
1/4 inch long.
So what kind of advice did you get from Matt? Was it useful?
Well, oh, yeah, it was very useful. The thing, like, you know, we did the podcast on long-distance shooting or ethical shot distance, and that caught some grief and a few other things. And I've always wanted to shoot a trad bow. I just kind of woke up one day and texted a bunch of guys. I'm like, I'm going to do it this month. And then I did do it this year. And then the next day I figured out, like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, so I'm going to need a lot of coaching. So I went to Rocky Mountain Specialty Gear. They're the trad shop by my house.
Yep.
And they had
Awesome
suggested
shop. Good dudes.
Yeah, they got a bunch of bows. Well, they suggested a few bows. One of them was a Hoyt Buffalo, and they had a Buffalo there, and I liked the riser. They didn't have the poundage I needed, and I ended up ordering another bow to screw around with for now. Mostly, it's show season. I was going to get a hold of Matt, and I'm like, you know what? I'll just talk to him when I get down here for this specific bow. So the Clum Rocky Mountain Specialty Gear got me kind of set up, good form and everything else, but I wanted the specific bow Matt has been shooting. And Matt, you are very knowledgeable, not from just a traditional bow, but also not just traditional, but you work for Hoyt, so compounds, traditional, and you deal with many different customers along with that, because you run the pro staff of many other things for Hoyt, right?
That's correct, yep.
So for me, going from compound, which I've shot forever, to traditional and knowing nothing, I learned a few things. One was being comfortable with what you're doing. Don't be uncomfortable. Since I shot Hoyt for, 20 years of my 25 years of compound, shooting a compound, your riser was really important to me, because most risers are the size of a 2x4 from, let's face it, Black Widow, awesome bow.
Right.
I grabbed that thing, I'm like, ew.
It just doesn't feel
not
natural.
for me, yeah.
In that transition area,
is that
it's
because you
uncomfortable.
have little, small, girly hands?
No, what, maybe. But that's good for other things anyway. But I just, coming from a riser like a Hoyt, skinnier, a little bit rounded, and then you grab something that's 4 times the size of it, I'm like, I will never
awkward.
shoot.
Not a good fit.
And it's not that those are bad bows, but me specifically, transitioning, I immediately was like, I don't know if I'm going to like shooting a recurve. This thing is giant. Well, I grabbed that Buffalo, the Hoyt, and I'm like, oh, it's the same riser I've been using. This is perfect.
Same fit, right?
Yep. So either way, what bow, I guess one thing, what's the most important for guys kind of transitioning or just getting started to kind of think of? And then 2, what is your bow you're shooting?
Yeah, so first and foremost, as you're transitioning over, like he was talking about here, it's important to be comfortable with the equipment. If you're not comfortable with the bow, you're not going to enjoy shooting it. And traditional archery requires a lot of time. You got to be dedicated to it. It's not something you're going to pick up and be a natural at. You're probably going to break some arrows. You're probably going to shoot a window out or 2. It's just kind of the learning curve that comes along with that. So finding that bow that's comfortable and feels right in your hand and feels comfortable to shoot, that's what it's all about. And going along those same lines is, from that comfort factor standpoint, is shooting the correct amount of draw weight. Guys are transitioning from shooting a 70-pound compound bow. They're like, oh, I'm going to shoot a 70-pound recurve. No, you're not.
The thing with a compound is mechanically it
has let off.
Yeah, and so it even though you ultimately at some point
are pulling 70 pounds.
70 pounds, it's not the same.
At full draw when you're sitting there. Go ahead, Aron.
No, I just come in because everybody knows I've hunted. Well, you guys have built me multiple 80 to 90-pound bows.
Right.
It doesn't matter. I grabbed one. I'm like, I'll try 60. I'm like, I think I'll put 60-pound bow back on the wall.
Yeah.
And I'm shooting 48 at 28, which you can explain that. Because the other thing, too, is the struggle is real with shoulder surgery, probably more so with a trad bow than a compound, meaning if you overbow it for many, many, many years.
Oh, man.
I think it's multiplied probably worse with a trad bow from the limited amount I've shot compared to a lot I've shot a compound.
I've got buddies that have been shooting trad bows for a long time, and whether you're young or you're in that stage of your life where you're in good shape and you can shoot it. Physically, you can shoot it, but it's going to take its toll on you.
Probably won't hit anything either.
Yeah, South told me, just start at a real comfortable weight. And
I started at 30
stronger.
pounds.
Work your way up.
Yep, I started at 30 pounds, and, I sucked. I couldn't hit anything, but I learned the correct form and the right way to release because, shooter input into a recurve is extremely critical. It's not like a compound where you just pull back, you put the string on your nose, you look through your peep, and you put the pile of pins on the vitals, and you're going to hit the target. You're going to kill an animal.
Release on there too, and so you throw in some shooter input that's a little flawed. It's more forgiving.
Exactly, it's a very forgiving system. Whereas a recurve, it's all you. You're holding onto the string with your fingers. You're holding onto it with your hand, and you're the one that's executing that shot.
I think I remember when I got my first compound bow. I shot with fingers.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah.
And so I remember drawing the compound bow with my fingers, and then 10-year gap away from archery hunting, come back to it, and now everybody's using a release.
Right.
I threw that release on there. At first I was like, why not fingers? Why not fingers? I mean, fingers are like so familiar. That's just how you shoot a bow. It feels like cheating or something. It feels like rifle hunting, infiltrated archery.
Right.
Then I put a release on there, and I'm like, whoa, dude, there is so much. There's no string twist when I pull. It's all cleaner.
Very
and I was
clean,
like, wow, this makes me look like I'm a good shot.
Yeah.
And before, I would practice all this stuff with finger release. So it made a huge difference. So I can see it, with traditional, you're back to the fingers.
Yeah, you're back to the fingers. It's all you. And that's one of the things I enjoy about traditional archery, and I'm sure Aron's experienced that as he's been learning and growing, and it's pretty gratifying. I shoot instinctive. I shoot 300. I shoot instinctive, and you're picking a spot on a hair when you kill an animal, kind of deal. You want to have those up close, intimate encounters with animals. But when you're practicing, I don't ever take my eyes off something, and there's nothing more gratifying than putting, that arrow on that exact spot at 20 or 30 yards, because that's all you. That's not the bow. It's all you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, satisfaction that you get out of doing that. So it's hard, but it's worth it if you put in the time and practice.
Well, I think for guys transitioning over, the one thing, if you get good enough with a compound and you can grab a compound and shoot a paper plate at 80 yards anytime, all the time, every time, it's taken a little bit of the fun out of it, I'm not going to lie. And I haven't wanted to shoot a compound. I haven't wanted to shoot a bow. When I say want to, I love archery.
Right.
I haven't been like, I can't wait to get off work and go fling arrows when I get off work. I haven't had that like 10, 12 years. And the Rocky Mountain, especially guys were making fun of me because I'm there right at 11 or right at 10 when they open. I shoot for an hour. I go back, do some more work. I come back. I shoot for 2 more hours, 300 rounds.
Heck yeah.
And I have those guys, they watch me throughout the course of the time, so they're seeing my true form, not while they're watching. You can always shoot when somebody's watching you. Well, I haven't felt like shooting like that forever. One part of it is you always kind of suck. Like you're never going to be, you're going to be at a high level at some point, but there's always room for improvement.
Yep.
So I could shoot a 300 round high 50, 56 to 58 X's on a bad day. No pressure with a compound.
Right.
And now I'm like, I just don't want to miss the target on this 300
Please
round.
get on paper. Please get on paper.
I got a 1 on that shot. Woo! And so it was a big change. And it's only been like 10, 12 days or maybe 2 weeks. But I seem to have a knack for it, what people tell me, but it is way more critical. I just think that for me, I am super excited for everyone to hunt. Whether you're in pink underwear and throwing spears, or you're
girl or boy,
exactly, a girl or boy. I forget to mention women on the podcast. I got to bring that up, women or men. And I think that the hatred in the industry and everything else, the hate mail from the long distance shooting podcast,
which hasn't been much, to be honest.
Not horrible. Few peckerheaded emails, nothing major. But for me, I just thought, you know what? I'll just get a trad bow and I'll go hunt with a trad bow, and I'll either really suck at it and everybody can say you need a compound as a crutch, or I'll be really good at it, or whatever. But as long as I'm having fun or the person's having fun, I think that's the most important part. And I can tell you, if you're getting burnt out on a compound, get a traditional bow. It has definitely revived my love for archery.
Relit that fire, right?
Anthony, I've said this before, he had a problem with trigger panic with his compound, and it got really bad. Anthony's a hunting partner, my hunting buddy, good friend, my best friend. He pulls that thing back, and he just couldn't help it. So he went to traditional, and then he had a blast. Then he did some self bows. I think he killed one of his best bucks and blacktails, and he just,
that's rad, dude. But I have mad respect for that.
Blacktail buck too. It's a beast.
Yeah.
And so I mean, that's just really neat. Then he kind of went through a little funk there, where he wasn't able to stay with the compound kids, soccer practice,
right,
life, job, and all that. So he wasn't shooting as much. Like at the time, he was really stacking them up. He was shooting his traditional bow all the time.
Right.
Life got busy, and he started only being able to do it once or so a week or less, and it really affected his performance when he actually went hunting, and he started missing stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was like, well, so he hung up the traditional bow for a little bit and went with a compound.
Went back to a compound.
Because he found that with life being the way it is, he could still be very accurate with a compound without as much dedication.
Right.
And I was curious, how this instinctive shooting, this idea of instinctive shooting, it seems to me it's like shooting a basketball. Like, that's instinctive.
Yeah.
Judging the field, the distance. And when you step away from the court for a while and you come back and you haven't shot in like 3 months, you're bricking stuff. I mean, it's just you're not hitting the shots. I picture traditional bowhunting the same way because it's all about the feel.
Muscle memory, right?
Yeah, muscle. Well, I can tell you, I've shot a lot of 3D courses, not with a trad bow. So thank God you got 2 arrows the first one I shot, because if I shot and I had pretty clean form and my arrow was right over the top, if you get good hand-eye coordination and muscle memory, my second arrow was usually an 8 or a 10. But that first shot, it's a little rough for Snitter. I mean, I had some zeros. I was like, well, I guess I held too high. But if you don't get rattled and you kind of learn where to hold, I mean,
you start to feel your way.
Yep. It becomes natural. It's like throwing a baseball, seriously.
Well, and I tell you what, if you shoot with correct form, one thing not that I'm an expert, but, you draw, aim, squeeze, wait, squeeze through, do everything correctly. I think you could become a really good snap shooter when the time's needed, because I was watching Tom Klum, he teaches me closer to FIDA type form.
Right. That's how I shoot.
And then he's like, but don't worry, you'll be able to snap shoot. So we were out there on the range, and I'm doing everything like I should be. And I'm like, well, if a deer walked over here and I just snapped one off, and I was like, that's a good shot. But muscle memory from doing it correctly can pull you through. I know as far as for me shooting, as you well know, I'm a horrible trophy hunter. I like to shoot stuff.
Heck yeah.
But
that's how it should be.
My season is generally over way sooner than it should be.
This should extend it.
Well, oh, yeah.
Just give them a pile of tags, let them just go kill some stuff.
Oh, man. Well, I tell you, I killed my elk this year before the sun came up on the first day.
I remember seeing that on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, I got a lot of crap about that. They're like, way to hold out, Aron. I blacked out. I saw red. But this will probably make me, which I think is great, but me, just the way I am, I get animals in front of me, I'm like, I'm going to shoot one of them.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm going to be like, I'm going to try really hard to shoot one of those.
Yep.
And if not, I'll keep trying, and that may last 31 days.
Heck yeah, may take you a little bit to get.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be good for me because I like being out there, but I also like shooting stuff. Well, this way, I'm not using the compound to more or less compensate for not wanting to get closer or whatever else.
Right.
I don't have to work really hard at it. And I like the fact that you have, not to be weird, but there's kind of a reverence or I'm going to get some kind of a crappy, I'm going to get made fun of for this one, but it definitely is more of a spiritual extension of your body with a trad bow, where with a compound.
Absolutely, man.
I can pick up 40 compounds and I can shoot a 300 round all day long. I won't miss a dot. I might miss an X, but I'll very proficient.
Yeah.
I can tell you now, you do not get that feel there's just certain bows that are going to feel part of your body than others. Like I grabbed a few bows. I was like,
this was built for a different person.
Put that back on the rack.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and there's other bows that I can tell you there's only a couple bow years, and you can chime in on this. You can have a really pretty bow, or you can have a really good shooting bow, but there's only maybe 1 or 2 companies that you have a pretty good shooting bow, a pretty bow that's a good shooting bow at the same time.
I will agree on that.
Yeah, because I tell you, I'm not going to mention names. I'm like, kind of like a woman. You got to have initial attraction. I grab the bow, I string it up, and I shoot it, and I'm like, man, that's went from a 10 to a 2. We're putting that one back up, but there's a lot of artwork in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what bows other than Hoyt's have you shot as far as like trad bows through the? And you don't need the same. Have you shot a longbow? Have you shot a recurve? Or have you?
No, when I originally started, I really wanted to shoot a longbow. I just liked the look of the longbow, a D-shaped longbow. Yeah. I was a big Howard Hill fan. I mean, I had a lot of respect for that guy, kind of one of the pioneers of traditional archery. And I shot a Howard Hill for a little bit, and that's a struggle stick.
Yeah, that dude was amazing.
Dude,
that bow, and I've read him talking about how, in his opinion, the Howard Hill American, what's he call it? The Howard Hill American longbow, or he has kind of a Howard Hill longbow.
Yeah, it's a Howard Hill. That's like the name. It's like a signature bow for Howard Hill. There's a type of bow for him. So
he's like, this is the easiest, best shooting bow.
Right.
And I have everybody else go, dude, that is not an easy bow to shoot. So why is it that he thought it was?
Some people do. I've been, in my opinion, that they're lying. I stacked up
I agree.
several longbows and several recurves, and I'm like, man, that longbow looks awesome. And I'd shoot up like, man, that longbow shoots like crap. And it was, I mean, most of them, there's a few exceptions from what I've seen. They are not overly fast. Now, there's a couple companies that make faster longbows.
And does that bother you? It just doesn't feel good?
Well, if you get used to shooting a bow that shoots 175 feet a second, which you can almost catch, and then you go to 156, doesn't sound like that much.
That's a big difference. You got to adapt to that bow. I mean, talking back to that
you're
instinctive.
shooting the ground at 20. I'm like, man, put that bow back. That bow only hits concrete. That's not me. That's the bow.
That's the bow, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't. It's not like I know what I'm doing that much, but I certainly have had good help and good coaches in the short time.
Yeah.
And I would say, truly, if you are getting burnt out on compounds, grab a trad bow. Or if you like to brag about how cool you are with a compound and how much stuff you shoot, grab a trad bow and see if you still suck. I'm about to. So
it's humbling, right?
Oh, Lordy. I tell you, there's a few times in the range where I just lay one of those groups where you're like, oh, and they're all five are in the white dot.
Yeah.
And then I shoot the freaking wood, like 6 feet below my next group, and I'm like, oops. Well, I just got humbled again. I guess I got to keep practicing. I haven't figured it out yet.
I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
Do you, how much practice do you need to be, like, per week to keep your skills?
I'm fortunate enough that, Hoyt's got an indoor range. We've got a 3D course over there. Easton's down the street. They've got a 3D course. So I'm fortunate enough that I can go shoot a lot. But that being said, I hadn't shot my bow since November. I went out to Kansas on a whitetail hunt, and we were just doing spot and stock. And all my buddies, we all hunt with recurves, and we had a bit of success. But I missed a giant the last day at 30 yards. I just hit a branch and ended up missing it. But anyways, I hadn't shot my bow in a while. And a couple of my friends and I, we have a tradition. We go out to Wyoming the beginning, first day of every year, and we go out and we shoot rabbits. Well, a rabbit's a pretty small animal, right? They're pretty fast, and they get out there. Well, we went out, and after a couple of shots, it's that muscle memory. I shoot a bow a lot, but, we went out and we shot like 40-something rabbits with recurves between four of us.
That's not easy with a compound. That's not even easy with a gun.
That's fun. That's fun, though, because the way South was explaining to me, you can take shots without fear of your arrow blowing up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right? Oh, nice.
That's pretty cool.
I'm looking at a rabbit with an arrow through it.
Oh, that's funny.
So you can go out and you can like walk around, stump shoot things, and you don't have to like worry about breaking your
arrows,
your arrow exploding.
Can't do that with compound.
No, and I'm truly excited. Those fishing trips are going in the spring. Like now, all these guys are like, look, we'll go up there and we just shoot everything. Like, and I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, on the hike in, you see a stump in the trail, 40 yards ahead, just shoot it. It'll get you used to the muscle memory. He's like,
that's what I've noticed. Like Cody Kellum with Full Draw. And I talked to South, and they're just walking around shooting stuff all day while they're hunting.
Dude. Yeah.
And that just keeps you confident. Keeps
You're on
you
your
feeling
game.
Good.
Well, the other
it's hard to do. I try to do it with the compound as well. It's like, is there a rock behind that? Is that some stump soft enough? I don't want to sit there for 30 minutes and carve my arrow out or have it blow up on me.
Exactly.
Well, I shoot,
especially if I'm backpacked in.
84 pounds.
That's
I'm
going to bust
get
some
an arrow
arrows.
back, right? And so, like last year, we hit a whole covey of grouse, and
it's going to cost you an arrow every time.
How I look like I was going into a convulsion. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna, and I'm trying to find Colton, but they were in rocks.
Yeah.
Well, I'd already shot too much crap already, and I was like, had 5 arrows left, and I still trying to kill a deer. And I'm like, huh. And I was talking to my buddies with the trad bow, and they're like, dude, you could shoot those trad arrows and those broadheads straight into a rock, just sharpen them up, you're fine. I'm going to like this.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You shoot everything.
That was one thing I was envious. We would go hunting with Anthony. He's shooting stuff, and why don't you take a shot? I can't afford to lose an arrow. I'm down to 3. I can't afford to lose another
one. No thanks.
Yeah.
No
Man
thanks.
down.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. And I think we were talking, I think when all the show season ends, I'm going to get a buffalo coming my way at the poundage I need it. And the biggest thing I'm excited about is weird as it is the grip. Like the bow I'm shooting now it has a decent grip, and it's a low wrist grip, but it's still pretty wide. Where I've shot, literally in the last 20 years of shooting a bow, probably 16's been shooting a Hoyt. In fact, we were talking, let's get a subject, but talk about technology and bows.
Right.
When that Ultra Tech came out, first it was the red line cam, and no, it was a Striker 2. That was like my ultimate bow. And then
that was the bow, huh?
The Viper was the speed bow. And then the Ultra Tech came out, and I don't know how many tournaments I won with an Ultra Tech, but it was a lot. And that riser felt good, and it hasn't changed. Technology's changed, but the basic platform of how your hand feels on a Hoyt bow, and since I don't know, 99, hasn't changed very much.
That's where the hunter, the archer is connecting to that bow, and that's probably the most critical point, And touching on the base of our buffalo bow, that's the exact same grip that we use on our hunting compounds. You could take a grip off one of our new Carbon Defiance, and that same grip would fit on the Hoyt Buffalo. So that's a very natural fit for anybody that's transitioning over from a compound to a recurve, and it's a pretty low wrist grip, which is nice because one of the most important things as you're shooting a bow, which I'm sure you've gotten advice on, Aron, is having a strong bow arm. And having a low wrist, it really engages that entire arm. When you get up here, people shoot a high wrist because they want to gain draw length, right? But half an inch of draw length and that inconsistency, I would rather have that strong platform that you're pulling off of anchoring and pulling through your shot,
Dude,
right?
Your arms are like 5 feet, 6 feet long.
I've got long arms, yeah.
What is your draw length?
On a recurve, I still pull almost 30 and a half.
Jeez.
On a compound, I'm closer to 31.
Dude, I saw Phelps.
Yeah.
We were at Bowtech. 32 and a half, 33-inch draw. That's ridiculous.
Gorilla arms, right?
It's crazy because when I shoot a 28.5-inch compound, I have good form as far as shot execution, bad form as far as alignment.
Right.
So I grabbed a recurve, and the first day it was 28.5. And they're like, you're bunched. And they put a clicker on, right? I asked for a clicker. I wanted to.
I still shoot a clicker, dude.
Well, we had to finally take it off because my draw length expanded 1 3/4 inches in 2 days. Just from
you got rid of the compound elbow, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, because I had – so then all of a sudden – and I was shooting at the end of my fingers, and I dug in a little deeper.
Yep.
And then where I was anchoring on my face, I was way up front, and now I'm farther back. Because kind of the cup in my jawbone.
Yep.
And then my expansion of my back is before I was kind of hunched forward.
Everyone leans forward. I don't know what it is with traditional archery. People have this natural tendency. They just want to lean forward, and they just go like this.
Yeah.
Well, that's a 24-inch draw. It's like, dude, you've got all this, open up. And so where Tom's teaching you that kind of fetus style, you're standing up straight. You're able to expand and use your back, and that's proper form execution. So
and it helps. It definitely helps as far as shot execution with my release hand, because before I was dropping it.
Doing the little hand flick.
Yeah, and I was doing the the fake back tension where you throw your arm back with a release. I was like, boom. So then he's like, so then they started
like,
watching
the hell
me.
Are you doing?
And now I'm coming straight back like I should. And you can tell because that clicker, if you use a clicker correctly, and I used to shoot fingers with and a clicker with a compound.
Right.
Is once that thing clicks for me, I don't just release it. That click for me reminds me to start breaking through my shot execution, my back tension.
Yep.
And it's a big help, but
makes a big difference. Yeah, I still hunt with mine, but half the time I really don't hit that clicker. But mentally, I know that's there, so my shot execution on an animal is a heck of a lot better. I'm not snap shooting. I'm coming to anchor. I'm pulling, and sometimes your mind's like, let it ride, and I'll let it go. But I've killed a handful of animals with it, and it's worked out pretty good. So
it's a lot like, not a lot, but somewhat like the clicker on a back tension release.
Right.
For me, it does tell you it's about to go off, so it kind of screws up the whole concept of a back tension being a surprise release.
Right.
But if your brain works and is feeble like mine, that clicker just is a closes kind of the loop and says, hey, start executing back tension.
Pull.
Yep, exactly. And that's what, for me, with the compound now, actually, when the feather hits my top lip, that's your clicker? That's a clicker.
That's how a bunch of my buddies shoot.
Well, and as I pull through, and it's weird because with the compound, excuse the language, Katie, you can half-ass all kinds of stuff and still be a pretty good shot. And I'm a fan of compounds, but you take my daughter, she's only been shooting 6 months. In the first week, we had her sighted out to 40, and she just shot a 300 round the other day for her first time and shot a 299. And I got partial custom my daughter. I get to see her whenever I want. I couldn't shoot a 299 if my life and my family's life depended on it probably in 6 months from now. And so you have to work at the trad bow, but it's a lot more gratifying for sure.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
Brian's going to get one, he told me, actually.
I am. I've been wanting. I've been talking about getting one for a long time.
You'll love it. It like Aron said, it kind of reignited that inner fire that I had for archery.
When I was 8, I got a recurve.
Yeah.
And then I shot one up until I was, I think I got my first compound. I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
But so as a kid, my dad worked with me, and I shot a recurve a lot.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago, and but I've always wanted to go back and start that over again.
Absolutely.
There's just something cool about it, man. It just feels awesome to shoot an Indian bow,
Yeah.
Your buffaloes, one thing I forgot to mention, because don't think you're going to save a ton of money getting into traditional archery. You will on the gadgets, but not on the bow.
Right.
But your buffalo, which I didn't know at the time, it's extremely well priced.
Yeah.
Because, what is that, the $799 or something?
Yeah, something in that ballpark, which is pretty good for a high-performance recurve bow, but it's still, $800. But
yeah, I tell you, I started looking at some bows, and I was like,
oh, man.
I looked at a blacktail.
That's an arm, a leg, and something hanging,
not only is it made of gold, it shoots golden arrows like the Greeks. I was like, $2,400?
Oh, dude.
For it, and it shoots sticks? Well, and I'm sure it's a beautiful bow.
Yeah, they're a piece of art, but I'd be afraid to shoot one.
Considering I rattle can some of my compounds like I did my M4,
I'm
like, I don't know that I'm an adult
That's
enough.
not gonna fly.
Yeah, no.
Not gonna fly.
I think though it's about going and shooting.
Yeah.
Again, it's like with any bow, compound or recurve. Traditional. It's about getting out and trying and seeing what you like.
Yeah.
For me, one of the things that does attract me is the beauty of the bow.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
And so
you get some beautiful bows.
I kind of want both because I kind of want to just stare at it. I'm like that. Like I look at the deer on my wall, like that. I just kind of stare at, and I'm like, "That's cool,
pretty.
Man. That's cool." Exactly. It's I know I'm going to do that with the bow.
Oh yeah.
I'm just going to stare at it, like
tuck it in at night.
Yeah, that's right. I would like 8 of them. Maybe 10, and just kind of hang them up around.
The arrows, not be on the feminine side, are prettier too. I have to say,
arrows are pretty. The big feathers.
Yeah,
it's custom, man. That's the cool thing about it. Anything you want to do with an arrow or a bow, like you can.
There's
you can
something
make that happen.
too about it being like all like wood and not mechanical.
Right.
Like just.
I'm not. I'm
it's a piece of wood.
I'm shooting a Native American carbon through mine,
and as long as it's as long as it's hidden by like
feathers,
beautiful wood,
right?
You mean the arrows?
They were asking me about. I thought you were talking about arrows because they were asking me, "Do you want to shoot wood or carbon?" And I'm like, "Carbon." And they're like, "The wood." And they started talking. I'm like, "I don't care. Carbon's not going to break."
A little more reliable. And
and I mean, true traditionalists. Baby steps, right?
Hey,
I just dropped.
Totally.
Yeah.
Let's not complicate this further.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One step at a time.
Some guys asked me on Facebook, "Are you going to do it with a self bow?" You're flipping mine? I'm like, I do still want to kill something. We need to take baby steps here. Maybe after I whack
I'm not excited about it explode. It seems like a self bow is days limited. At some point, it's going to break on you.
I can't even do the dishes. You want me to make a bow? No, I'm not going to do do that.
Might not fly right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having us.
Yeah. Stay gritty.
Yeah. Stay gritty, baby.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to this to getting my own, and I'll be shooting I'll be shooting circles around Aron. I mean, it's inevitable.
Put him in his place, right?
That's right.
He's going to have to show up on time. I'm already going to beat him.
The thing
You'll
is,
be done.
what Aron can do at his measly 48 pounds, I'm going to crush at like 70.
Don't do that. Dude,
Say goodbye to your shoulder.
I was going to say, not to lengthen this out. I'm strong. I'm strong. I grabbed a 70-pound recurve and I was like, it's thrown. Put that back. It hurt the whole way.
Yeah.
So the roughest point of a 70-pound drawing bow is like that the entire way. And to do it correctly, you have to hold that back. And there will be no, unless you're just a freak of nature, you're not going to be able to perform what I've been told and have been using as correct form and correct shot execution because you're in too much pain.
Yeah.
Not only that, man, I got blisters on my fingers.
Oh, yeah, dude, the permacalluses, dude. I got those there. I got permanent scar there from getting slapped with the string.
Yep.
I've got
it's
it all.
Fun.
Yeah.
So much happy.
That's right.
Oh, Lord. Well, cool. Yeah, thanks for coming on, Matt.
Thanks,
appreciate Aron. Brian, thanks so much, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, Gritty friends, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. If you did, please take a moment to leave us a review on iTunes, Podbean, or Stitcher. We love reading your reviews. And connect with us on social media if you're on there. Look us up on Facebook and Instagram, and take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can receive notifications when we upload new videos. We've got a sweet deal with Mountain Ops. You get 20% off on all Mountain Ops supplements, combo packs, and apparel when you type in the word Gritty at checkout. If you're a hardcore elk hunter, or you want to be, go to the Elk 101 website online and check them out. Our friend Corey Jacobson is killing it with some of the best elk hunting information and entertainment on the web. If you haven't heard, we're doing a huge gear giveaway to try and grow and expand the Gritty community on Facebook and Instagram. I asked a bunch of friends to pitch in on this gear giveaway, and they all came through with some awesome stuff. Our friends at Kifaru, Rockslide, First Light, Phelps Game Calls, One Shot Gear, Mountain Ops, XXX Archery, Blacktail Outdoors, and Is It September Yet are pitching in some sweet gear for the giveaway. We'll announce all the details in the next few weeks. All you have to do to be entered to win is like our Gritty Bowmen Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. All right, friends, let me leave you with one other quote from Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "It behooves every man to remember that the work of the critic is of altogether secondary importance, and that, in the end, progress is accomplished by the man who does things." We all have a choice. We can be people who do things or people who criticize the work of others. It's pretty simple, really. Get out there and do your thing. Good luck on your hunts, and stay gritty.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to the Gritty Bowmen.
Gritty Bowmen.